We often use the word soulmate too much and in the wrong context. The way that we know that we have one, particularly if someone passes, is what happens afterwards. When a soulmate passes, it is not unusual for the other person to transition quite quickly because they don't want to be away from each other. So that is an indicator. There is another indicator when that doesn't happen. So when spirit is past, they don't normally express their great sadness for being past. And we might find that surprising because when we're here, we're really sad that they're not here anymore. And we would expect them to feel the same. The reason why they don't is because they are always around you. So they don't miss you. They don't miss anything. They see all the things that you're doing. Now they can actually feel all the things that you're feeling and know all the things that you are thinking. Whereas before, they might not have known those two parts. Now they get a bigger picture of you, which they didn't have before. And so for a spirit to say, I miss you, it's really unusual if it's being delivered authentically. Sometimes readers get it a little bit flipped, where they're picking up on spirit indicating the yearning, the loss, and they label it and say that spirit is missing the living person rather that they're aware that the living person is missing them. So sometimes the readers can get it a little bit muddled, or they deliver it in a way that the wording sounds like that. So it's just a bit put around the wrong way. Spirit will miss in a way. I'm going to say in a way because they can't actually access that missing emotion, but they will reflect, they will remember that they might have loved a particular activity, a particular food, a particular thing to do with someone. Like they'll go, oh, I really enjoyed doing this. And that was fabulous. Like they'll reflect on those things. Like I've had them saying, oh, I really enjoyed when you used to make me, whatever, a stew. I remember when someone saying stew, I was like, really, stews, you think? So they will do this. But they don't normally say, I miss you, or even cry, or things like that, because they're really happy there. When they've shown me their emotion that they feel, the intensity of what that's like, we don't actually have human words that are precise enough to reflect the feeling of love and joy that they feel. And they don't have access to the lower emotions, but they can express them. They can remember that they have them. They can witness them and articulate them, but they can't feel them. It's not within the scope of the frequency that they're in, because every emotion has an actual frequency. And when we say lower frequencies, fear and anger and things like that, they're very low on the actual frequency scale, and spirit is in a different frequency, so they can't access that. It's not available to them, so they can only remember it. But this is the interesting thing with the soulmate. With this, as I said, it's rare. When one is still here and one is in spirit, that is when you will see that yearning coming from the spirit space rather than just from us, where they're like, oh, that yearning and that missing is like, it's like almost like having that other part of them not together. And so you will notice that from spirit when one of the soulmates is crossed and one is still here, both sides will have that yearning, not just us. And that's how you'll know as a medium that, hey, these guys are soulmates, because I can feel the yearning at such intensity and the emotion of being separate coming from spirit at a level that is unlike other connections. And that's how you can tell, because it's very, very different in that connection. And if we are to discern, like when we're experiencing this, If we notice that from spirit, before assuming that it's a soulmate separation, ask your spirit, are you telling me this is how you feel? Or are you telling me that this is how you know someone else feels? You need to ask them that second question rather than just articulating the emotion that you are experiencing, because they could be expressing, and most of the time they are expressing what they are aware of rather than it coming from them. Because the soulmate connection isn't as common as we think it is. And they're not always in a romantic coupling. Soulmates can be friends, they can be siblings. Sometimes there is even that within an animal and a human. It's, as I said, it's not always the significant other. It can be, and that's the way we normally think of it. It's the way we normally use it. But know that it also can be friends, and it also be siblings. It can also be siblings and parents, or someone and an auntie or uncle. So all the dynamics you can come in that space. We just always associate it with a romantic or intimate connection, but it actually can be all the other types of connections. But when it is a soulmate connection and one is here and one is not, you will feel the intensity from the spirit world just like you do from the client of wanting to be back together, and the level of emotion that is associated with that. And it is profound. So if you ever experience it, double check. Are you telling me this is coming from you, or is it coming from the client? My name is Bronwyn Jane, the founder of the Psychic Mediumship College.